Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a simple fact that many people miss. Your life doesn't change by accident, it changes by choice. One of the most important decisions you can make is to change the way you speak. Because here's the truth, words are more than just sounds. Words are seeds. Every sentence you say is like a plan you're creating for your future. The problem is, too many people are planting weeds with their words and then wondering why their life is a mess. They say things like, I'm just unlucky. I'm not good with people. I'll never be successful. And guess what? They are right, because the tongue is like the captain of a ship and it's steering straight toward disaster. You might think it's just words, but here's the thing. Words become beliefs. Beliefs shape choices, and choices determine your future. So no, it's never just words. The way you talk about your problems, your goals, your future, that language either builds your life or slowly tears it down. I want you to remember this. Words can build or words can break. They can create a future or they can destroy a dream. They can inspire courage or create doubt. They can heal a heart or break it in just one sentence. Words are not cheap or harmless. They carry weight, they carry life, or they carry death. This is what ancient wisdom tells us. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. And I believe that is still true today. Maybe no one told you this, but every day you are speaking something into reality. Each day, you're either building your future brick by brick with positive, hopeful, determined words, or you're tearing it down with complaint, sarcasm, and self-doubt. Here's an example. One person says, nothing ever works out for me. And guess what? They are right, because they speak failure as if it's their language. Another person says, I'll find a way. I don't know how yet, but I will. And guess what usually happens? Because they have trained their words to support their goal. Words create movement. They either push you toward action or keep you stuck in excuses. So if you want a better life, start by speaking better sentences. Now, I'm not talking about fake optimism. I'm not asking you to lie to yourself. I'm asking you to speak the truth ahead of time. Say things like, I'm learning every day. I haven't figured it all out yet, but I'm growing. I make mistakes, but I don't give up. Those aren't lies. Those are statements of progress. Here's something else to remember. Your words impact others too. Think about this. One word of encouragement said to the right person at the right moment can change the course of their entire life. I've seen it happen. You might say something kind in passing, and they'll remember it for years. But it works the other way as well. Say the wrong thing at the wrong time, and it could take someone months to recover. So here's my advice. Be known as someone who speaks life, not the person who points out every problem or complains all the time. Be the one who builds others up with your words. Encourage people. Tell them what they're doing well. Speak vision, speak belief, speak discipline. Now, here's a challenge. For the next 24 hours, watch your language like a hawk. Catch yourself. Are you speaking from fear or faith? Are your words focused on solutions or problems? Better yet, decide right now that you won't let your words sabotage your future. You might say, I just speak what I feel. That's the problem. Don't just speak your feelings. Speak your intentions. Speak your vision. Speak your values. Speak like the person you want to become, not the person you've been stuck as. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about choosing which part of reality you want to feed. Because whatever you speak, you strengthen. Your mind listens to your mouth. So if you want a sharper mind, use sharper words. If you want a disciplined life, start with disciplined speech. If you want respect, speak respectfully. If you want to inspire others, let your words carry weight. Take a closer look. When you say, I always mess things up, that's not just self-talk. That's a belief spoken aloud. It means you believe failure is part of your identity. But if you say, I'm learning from my mistakes, that's a different belief. One says, I'm doomed. The other says, I'm developing. Your words reveal what you expect, and life tends to rise or fall to meet that expectation. Here's something you've probably heard me say before. Don't be casual with language. Language shapes belief, belief shapes behavior, behavior shapes destiny. It's a chain reaction, and it all starts with what comes out of your mouth. So let's flip the mirror. What are you saying about money, health, relationships, your ability to lead? Are your words full of fear scarcity, and blame? Or are they rooted in responsibility, faith, and discipline? Let me give you a few examples of belief-filled speech. Instead of saying, I'm just not good with money, say, I'm learning how to manage my finances better. Instead of saying, I can't talk in front of people, say, I'm developing the confidence to speak with clarity and impact. Instead of saying, I don't know how to start, say, I'm committed to figuring this out step by step. See the difference? Same reality, different belief. Are you speaking life into your family or just barking orders? Are you casting vision at work or just giving instructions? Real leaders don't just manage people, they lift them, and they do it with language. So here's the challenge. Speak like someone others want to follow. Speak with purpose, belief, and ownership. Speak in a way that makes people better just by listening. If you speak like a leader, you'll live like a leader. And if you live like a leader, others will follow, not because they have to, but because they want to. That's the language of leadership. And it begins with the next word you choose. Talk to yourself, but watch what you say. Let's have a heart-to-heart today, because there's a voice in your life you hear more than any other. Not your boss, not your spouse, not your mentor. It's you. You talk to yourself more than anyone else talks to you. And the question is, what are you saying? Most people don't realize it, but all day long, there's a running commentary in their head. A little voice saying, I'm not ready. I always mess this up. This probably won't work. Then they wonder why confidence is low, progress slow, and why they don't feel capable or worthy. Here's something simple but powerful. Your internal dialogue is writing your external reality. If the voice in your head is weak, fearful, or negative, don't be surprised when your results look the same. You might say, I don't control the thoughts that come into my mind, and that's true, but you absolutely control which thoughts you dwell on, and more importantly, what you say back. It's not the thought that matters, but the response. That's where the power is. Learn to talk back to doubt. When your mind says you're not good enough, say, I may not have arrived, but I'm improving every day. When it says you failed too many times, say, each failure taught me something and I'm smarter now than I've ever been. When it whispers, this is too hard, respond, hard is good, hard builds strength, and I was built for it. That's intentional self-talk, and leaders use it daily. Winners, builders, and visionaries know the words you speak to yourself shape how you show up in the world. Try this. If someone else spoke to you the way you speak to yourself, would you trust them? Feel encouraged? Want to spend time with them? If no, then it's time for a change. You can't bully yourself into greatness, shame yourself into transformation, or insult your way to discipline. Growth requires a voice inside that lifts, not limits, that corrects, not condemns, that tells truth through progress, not punishment. I'm not talking fairy tale self-talk, not lies or chanting empty affirmations. I'm talking about speaking with purpose, truth, courage, and clarity. Say, I am not where I used to be. I have the discipline to keep showing up. I am building something worthwhile. I am learning what I didn't know yesterday. I may not see it yet, but I'm sowing seeds for the future I want. That's not fantasy. That's formation. And over time, your inner voice becomes your inner strength. Would you let someone follow you around all day telling you you're not smart, not ready, you always screw up? Of course not. So why tolerate that voice in your own head? You've got to become the guardian of your mind, speak life even when tired, coach yourself especially when nobody else is watching. The most important leadership you'll ever offer is how you lead your thoughts, how you speak to your fears, your future, your potential. So talk to yourself, but watch what you say. Don't rehearse defeat, narrate failure, or give fear the microphone. Instead, speak with faith, purpose, and power as if your words are creating something, because they are. Over time, you'll stop needing external motivation, become your own best motivator, and your voice will become your foundation. Here's your challenge this week. Track your self-talk, catch the doubt and replace it with determination, catch the fear and replace it with focus, catch the shame and replace it with strategy. The person who wins the conversation in their mind eventually wins in every other area of life. Remember, you're listening to you all day long. Make sure what you hear is worth following. Upgrade your language, upgrade your network. Here's a life-changing principle. The words you use will either expand your circle or limit it. The language you speak determines the rooms you enter, the people you attract, and the opportunities that come your way. Most people think networking is about shaking hands, exchanging cards, or attending events. Sure, that's part of it, but real networking, real influence starts with the words that come out of your mouth. Your language is your access card. If you want access to better networks, you've got to upgrade how you speak. Have you ever been in a room where the energy felt different, where conversations weren't about complaining, but creating, not about surviving, but scaling, where words like strategy, vision, discipline, and value floated in the air? That's no accident. That's a culture shaped by language. And if you want to be part of high-level environments, your language has to align. You can't step into meaningful conversations with limited vocabulary. You can't rely on small talk when the dialogue is centered around impact, legacy, and execution. If your speech is filled with gossip, blame, or self-doubt, it will naturally attract others who thrive on the same. But if your words reflect clarity, growth, and conviction, you'll begin to draw in people who are moving forward. High-performing individuals recognize one another by how they speak. Winners don't say, "I can't believe how unfair this is." They ask, "What's my next move?" Builders don't say, "Why does this always happen to me?" They ask, "What am I meant to learn here?" Professionals don't say, "I'm just winging it." They say, "I'm prepared. Let's deliver." Your words are like business cards. Each one signals your mindset, values, and direction. So if you want to level up, your language must evolve first. Start observing how the people you admire communicate. Notice how leaders speak, how they frame problems, describe success, and ask questions. Then ask yourself, would I sound like someone they'd want to engage with? Because here's the truth. You can't talk your way into excellence unless you speak with excellence. You can't use language rooted in survival and expect to collaborate with people who are building powerful futures. This isn't about using complex jargon. It's about speaking with purpose, using clear, intentional, elevated words. Start eliminating vague or passive phrases. Drop expressions like "just getting by," "I guess we'll see," or "whatever happens." Replace them with language of direction. "I'm gaining momentum. I'm focused on outcomes. I'm preparing for what's next." Every conversation is an audition. You never know who's paying attention. You never know what opportunities your words might open or what relationships they might push away. Become someone who communicates with value. Speak with purpose. Speak with growth in mind. Because the reality is this: your network will expand to meet the level of your language. Start sounding like someone with discipline, and you'll attract disciplined people. Talk like a solution seeker, and you'll find yourself in rooms full of answers. Speak with character, clarity, and confidence, and you'll be invited into spaces where those traits matter. Here's your challenge. Review your vocabulary. Ask yourself, would the next version of my life recognize the way I speak? Would the people I hope to meet respect my words? And if the answer is no, don't stress. Just adjust. Because when your language improves, your world follows. When you sound like someone worth aligning with, the right people will find you. Your next opportunity, mentor, or client may not appear because of your communication. Upgrade how you speak, and everything else begins to rise with it. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful shifts you can make. Speaking with gratitude. Gratitude isn't just an emotion, it's a language. And once you speak it fluently, your life begins to shift. Most people wait to feel grateful. They wait for the perfect moment, when their health improves, their income grows, or their situation gets easier. But high achievers don't wait. They speak gratitude intentionally. When you speak it, you're not just acknowledging what's good, you're amplifying it. You shift your attention from what's lacking to what matters. That's the power of this word shift. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending life is perfect. It means choosing to recognize the value even under pressure. Saying, "I'm thankful for the lesson even if it was hard." Or, "I'm grateful I get to grow even if growth is uncomfortable." Gratitude is a lens. Once you begin using it, you notice more to be thankful for. One person might wake up saying, "I have to go to work." But someone who speaks gratitude says, "I get to go to work. I get to contribute, earn, and serve." Same day, different language. And because the words change, the energy shifts. Gratitude brings forgotten blessings back into focus. Here's another shift. Instead of saying, I'm so busy, try, I'm thankful I have meaningful work. Instead of my kids are driving me crazy, say, I'm grateful for the privilege of raising them. You might think this is just about wording, but it's not. It is semantics. But semantics affect emotion. Emotion shapes action. Action drives outcomes. Gratitude isn't about being polite. It's about power and perspective. It's about choosing to see and speak what's good, even during hardship. Gratitude is magnetic. When you speak it, you attract better relationships and energy. Why? Because people are drawn to appreciation, not complaint. Speak gratitude at work and watch the culture shift. Speak it in your marriage and notice the bond grow. Speak it among friends and experience fewer conflicts, more support, and stronger momentum. Don't wait for major milestones to feel grateful. Start with the small things. Say, thank you for your effort. I appreciate your help. Or this challenge is stretching me and I'm grateful for it. Say it, write it, repeat it, make it a habit. Here's the principle. What you speak becomes stronger. If you speak gratitude, you strengthen peace, joy, resilience, and relationships. Here's a challenge. For the next 7 days, before you complain about anything, say 3 things you're grateful for. Out loud. Say them especially on the hard days. Watch your mood shift. Watch stress drop. Watch problems shrink as your perspective expands. Because gratitude isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And if you can speak it during uncertainty, you carry quiet strength wherever you go. Don't just feel grateful, speak it. Make it a daily language. Gratitude doesn't just change your mood, it changes your life. Now, be mindful of what you say about others, because every time you talk about someone, you're also revealing something about yourself. This is one of the most overlooked truths in personal growth. Your words about others reflect your mindset and maturity. We live in a world full of opinions where sarcasm and criticism are common, especially when the person being discussed isn't present. But every time you speak about someone else, you're also revealing how you think and who you are. You might say, I'm just being honest, but ask yourself, is it honest or harsh? Necessary or just noise? Helpful or simply hurtful? Here's the principle. Strong people don't tear others down, they build others up. When they need to correct, they do it with clarity, not cruelty. With strength, not sarcasm. You can measure someone's discipline by how they talk about others. Small minds gossip. Average minds judge. Strong minds rise above. When you criticize others, you're often revealing your own insecurity. Not their flaws, but your focus. If you're constantly pointing out what's wrong with others, it's a sign you're avoiding what needs fixing in your own life. But when you speak with respect, even when others make mistakes, it shows strength and leadership. Here's a better rule. Speak about people as if they were in the room. If you wouldn't say it to them, don't say it at all. If you would, say it in a way that builds them. That doesn't mean ignoring issues. Some things need to be addressed. But real leadership means you speak the solution, not just the problem. If someone is off track, speak with the intent to lift, not to label. Say, you're capable of more instead of you always mess up. That's the difference between correction and condemnation. Wise people know the difference, and they walk that line carefully. How you talk about people behind their backs determines how much others trust you to your face. If I hear you tearing others down when they're not around, I'll assume you'll do the same to me. But if I hear you protecting someone's dignity, even during disagreement, I'll know your loyalty runs deep. That earns respect. Let's take it one step further. You attract what you speak. Talk bitterness, you'll attract bitterness. Speak envy, you'll attract scarcity. But speak growth, vision, and grace, and watch you start showing up. But speak honor, speak belief, speak value into others, and you'll begin to build a community that reflects those same qualities back to you. Words are like seeds. When you plant gossip, you grow distrust. When you plant blame, you harvest bitterness. But when you plant praise and encouragement, you grow loyalty, growth, and unity. So ask yourself, what kind of garden are your words growing? Here's a challenge. For the next 7 days, refuse to speak negatively about anyone behind their back. Just refuse. Instead, choose to, even if it's as simple as saying they're working through it, or I believe they'll figure it out. That doesn't make you naive. That makes you noble. Because at the end of the day, your words are your reputation. And how you talk about others will eventually be how others talk about you. So speak with discipline, speak with integrity. And when in doubt, ask yourself, if someone played back a recording of everything I said about others this week, would I be proud? If not, change it. Because the mark of maturity is not just how you treat people in public, it's how you speak about them in private. And remember this, when you speak about others, you're always saying something about yourself. So make it something, silence is also a sentence. And sometimes it's the best one. We talk a lot about the power of words, but sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Silence is not emptiness. It's not weakness. It's not retreat. Sometimes silence is the strongest statement you can make. Let me be clear. I love words. I believe in their power to shape lives, direct teams, and inspire nations. But there are moments, key moments, when silence is wiser than speech. Silence is a form of wisdom. It shows maturity. It shows discipline. It says, I don't need to react. I don't need to win this argument. I choose peace over proving a point. Most people speak too quickly. They feel tension and they fill it with noise. They hear disagreement and they respond with volume. But leaders, real leaders, they know when to speak and when to hold the weight of silence. Because silence is not absence, it's presence at a higher frequency. Sometimes silence is the right response to criticism. Not every accusation deserves a reply. Not every insult needs a defense. You don't have to jump into every battle just because you were invited. In fact, often the person who can stay silent while others are flailing, that's the person with real power. Sometimes silence is how you earn respect. There's a certain dignity in restraint, a quiet confidence. You don't have to prove you're strong when you already are. Other times, silence is how you truly listen. You want better relationships? Then stop waiting for your turn to talk. Actually listen. Let the silence between their words be filled with understanding, not interruption. Because when people feel heard, they feel valued. And when you speak after truly listening, your words carry more weight. Silence is also protection. Ever been in a room full of gossip, drama, or criticism? You don't have to join in. You don't have to laugh along. Silence is how you say, this isn't who I am. And over time, people will respect you for it. Sometimes silence is how you protect yourself in conflict, in emotion, in stress. You might say something in the heat of the moment that you'll regret for years, but if you pause, if you breathe, if you stay silent just a few seconds longer, you give yourself room to respond, not just react. Silence creates space, and space is where wisdom grows. It's where self-control lives. It's where your next breakthrough decision is born. Now, here's something you've probably never heard. Silence, and sometimes it's the most eloquent one you'll ever deliver. When someone crosses a line and you withdraw your energy, that's a sentence. When someone tries to bait you into drama and you don't reply, that's a sentence. When others speak fear and chaos and you maintain peace and calm, that silence speaks volumes. But don't get me wrong, silence doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you don't have thoughts. It means you've trained yourself to be bigger than the noise. It means you've learned that not every opinion needs to be shared. Not every idea needs to be posted. Not every moment is your moment to talk. There's strength in restraint. And sometimes the most powerful sentence you'll ever deliver is the one you never say. So here's your next challenge. Practice strategic silence. Let others speak first. Pause before answering. Refuse to be pulled into conversations that lower your standard. Let your silence carry conviction. Let it show your confidence. Let it say, I know who I am, so I don't have to prove it with noise. And when you do speak, let it be measured, let it be meaningful, let it be unforgettable. Because the person who masters when to speak and when to stay silent has mastered one of the greatest disciplines of leadership. Silence is not empty. It's full of wisdom. And sometimes it's the strongest sentence in the room. Now, let's shift. Let's talk about powerful phrases, because success leaves clues. And one of the most obvious yet most overlooked clues is this. Successful people speak differently. It's not just what they know, it's not just what they do, it's what they say over and over again. Because words become beliefs, beliefs become behavior, and behavior becomes a lifestyle. Want to change your direction? Start with your daily phrases, the lines you repeat, the little mantras, the go-to sentences you say to yourself and others. Just like a gym builds your muscles, powerful phrases build your mindset. Let me give you a few. Successful people say, let's figure it out, instead of I don't know what to do. Those 4 words. Let's figure it out, open doors, create momentum, and keep the mind moving forward. Winners say, what can I learn from this, instead of why does this always happen to me? That one shift turns a setback into a seminar. Every obstacle becomes a teacher, and over time, that builds wisdom. Discipline-driven people say, I said I would. Simple. But in a world of excuses and half-finished plans, those 4 words carry serious weight. That's how leaders live. That's how reputations are built. Here's another. This is like me. You've got to affirm the identity you're building. You finish a workout, say, that's like me. You wake up early, that's like me. You stay calm in crisis, that's like me. Why? Because you're reinforcing behavior that aligns with your best self. Your words are programming your self-image. Speak like the person you're becoming, and you'll become that person. Another power phrase, it's possible. It may not be easy, it may not be obvious, but say it with conviction. It's possible. That phrase has birthed inventions, businesses, books, and breakthroughs, because when you believe it's possible, your brain starts finding the way. And this one, I take full responsibility. That's a heavy one. Most people avoid it. They point fingers at the weather, the economy, their parents, the government. But high performers say, I take full responsibility, not because they're guilty, but because they're in charge. And taking responsibility puts the power back in your hands. Your phrases shape your frame. And your frame, your perspective, decides how you interpret every moment. So train your mouth with phrases that produce progress. A few more for your toolkit. Done is better than perfect. I'm a student. I'm always learning. I don't have to know it all. I just have to keep moving. Consistency beats intensity. If I stick with it, it will stick with me. You might wonder, does it really matter what I say? And I'll tell you, yes, absolutely. Because every phrase you repeat becomes a groove in your mind. And enough grooves create a road and that road leads somewhere. You repeat self-pity long enough, you end up on the road to regret. You repeat discipline long enough, you end up on the road to results. It all starts with language. So here's what I suggest. Build a phrase bank. Write down 10 power phrases that reflect who you want to be. Say them every day, out loud. Don't wait until you feel like it. Say them until you become it. Because you can rewire your identity with your words. You can build habits with your phrases. You can plant belief, courage, and focus one sentence at a time. And remember, success is not just built in what you do, it's built in what you say, what you repeat, and what you reinforce. So choose your phrases like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. And here's the final thought. You're always in a conversation with your future. Every word you speak, every phrase you repeat, every story you tell yourself and others. It's a message you're sending forward in time. So the question is, what kind of future are you speaking into existence? Your mouth isn't just a mirror of your past, it's a megaphone to your future. Every complaint, every excuse, every declaration, they don't just echo in the present, they land ahead of you. And eventually you walk right into them. Speak wisely, speak powerfully, speak like your future is listening, because it is. That's why I always say, be careful what you say, because your future is listening. Most people speak out of history. They talk about what's happened, what went wrong, what they've been through, and that's fine for a moment. But if all your language is wrapped in yesterday, how can you expect tomorrow to look any different? Winners speak in advance. They don't wait for the breakthrough before they talk like it's coming. They speak in faith. They speak in preparation. They speak the language of expectation. They say, I'm building something meaningful. I'm learning how to lead. I'm setting the foundation for financial freedom. I'm becoming someone worth following. Not because it's already true, but because that's the road they've chosen to walk. And language leads. Your words walk ahead of you like trail markers. They tell your brain where to go. They guide your habits. They shape your decisions. You say, I'm a disciplined person, and guess what? You say, I always mess things up, and don't be surprised when you do. Because the future isn't just something that happens, it's something you speak into every day. Now, this doesn't mean you lie to yourself. This isn't about fantasy. It's about framing. You can say, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm on my way. You can say, I've got room to grow, but I've got the heart to do it. You can say, I'm preparing for the next level, and that kind of talk draws the next level toward you. Let me ask you, are you speaking or are you speaking strategy? Are you talking about limitations or are you declaring progress, even when it's slow? Because whatever you speak most, you'll see more of. Here's a truth I've seen proven over and over again. The words you practice today become the reality you live tomorrow. You say, I always have bad luck and life will cooperate. You say something good is coming and life will stretch to meet that too. Why? Because your focus follows your language and your future follows your focus. Here's what I want you to do. Start treating your language like a letter to your future self. Speak in a way your future self will thank you for. Speak in alignment with your vision, not your distraction. That means less of, I hope things get better, and more of, I'm making things better. I don't know if I'll ever get there, and more of, I'm moving forward, one step, one decision, one day at a time. Speak that way long enough, and your habits begin to shift. Your confidence grows. Your future starts to look a little more like the one you imagined. But remember, this works both ways. If you're always saying, I'm stuck, I'm tired, I'm just not cut out for it, then don't be surprised when the future you meet is smaller, colder, and harder than the one you hope for. The future is shaped by the voice you use today. So train it, refine it, direct it. You're already in a conversation, so you might as well speak something worth walking into. And if you're not sure where to begin, start with one sentence, just one. Say, I'm planting seeds. Say, I'm building character. Say, I'm developing skills. Say, I'm not waiting for someday. I'm speaking into it right now. Because the most successful people I know didn't just dream about their future, they spoke it into alignment and then walked into it with discipline. So speak boldly, speak wisely, speak intentionally, because the life you speak is often the life you live. We've spent this journey talking about words, but not just as sounds, words as tools, words as weapons, words as seeds. And now we've come to the most important truth of all. If you can master your mouth, you can master your life. Why? Because words are how we frame the world. They're how we program our thinking, how we lead others, how we face pain, how we shape the atmosphere around us. You want to shift your mindset? Shift your vocabulary. You want to grow your business? Grow your communication. You want stronger relationships? Start speaking stronger words. Because here's the reality. Nothing reveals your character faster than your language, and nothing shapes your future faster than your speech. Your words are either building or breaking. They're either sowing belief or reinforcing fear. They're either leading you forward or locking you in place. The good news, you're not a victim of your language. You are the author. You can decide right now to speak with more discipline, more clarity, more faith, more wisdom. And with that decision, you begin to rewrite the next chapter of your life. So let me ask you again, what story are you telling the world with your words? Are you narrating weakness or declaring strength? Are you spreading doubt or planting courage? Are you echoing your past or announcing your future? Because the life you're living today is the echo of the words you spoke yesterday. And the life you'll live tomorrow, it's already listening. So here's your final challenge. Talk like someone who's going somewhere. Speak as if your words are designing your destiny, because they are. Use words that align with vision. Speak sentences that stir action. Declare what's possible, not what's familiar. Speak progress, not pity. And when in doubt, choose silence over sabotage. Because the person who learns to master their mouth, to lead with language, to build with words, to speak with intention, that person becomes unstoppable. So if you want to change your world, don't wait, don't wish. Speak life, speak discipline, speak gratitude, speak purpose, speak belief, speak truth. Then go live what you spoke. Because in the end, the mouth is the gateway. Master it, and you master everything else.